This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Yes, welcome to the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Thank you very much for tuning in today with me. We got a nice little twist to the show today. I got to give a shout out to all my friends and my listeners and my followers who are here with me, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. Listen to us on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Rami. YouTube as well with the visuals, thanks to Super Mario and Gabby, or even my Instagram Live and TikTok. We're on fire today. We're going to make this a good show. A very different twist to the show today, because the question I have for you is, what does leadership mean to you? Now, today's leadership stands for a lot, whether it's in sports or in lifestyle. And we look at brands who instantly focus on their leaders, their trendsetters, marketing campaigns, you name it. But what do you consider a leader? What is a leader? Someone that's trending, or someone that leads by example, that may not necessarily have the vocals to be able to tell you exactly what to do. So that's the first part. Then the other thing is, when you think about our children at the moment now, what would you like your children to aspire to be? So now I'm trying to build up to a certain form of leadership, because as kids, we don't necessarily see, what's best for us. So that's another one for you to ponder on. A roundup of the latest sports action with a lot of crazy comments coming out of the Tottenham and United camp yesterday, as you might have seen. And confidence is key, but how do we boost our confidence? And I'm going to be going through a couple of things coming into the holy month of Ramadan, wherever you're from, whatever culture or background you have, whether you're going to be fasting or not, or just basically in the presence of a beautiful, blessed month. We talk about boosting your confidence and being at peace. Someone said to me yesterday, hey, you're vibing. And I thought, yes, I am vibing. So that's what I'm going to do with you today on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. A little twist to the show today in the sense of we're going into leadership. Now, we all have our different forms of leadership. We all have our different ideas of leadership. We had some very good comments during the break from people who describe leadership. We've got Terry, who said that integrity, self-awareness, gratitude, influence, and empathy. Masoud saying break your goals into small segments. Each segment you complete, you boost yourself, you boost your confidence and mindset as well. And R. Hassan said to inspire others and lead by example. Some fantastic comments there going through. But I think leadership also starts from a very young age. I think we all have the inner child in us, and when you open your eyes and the first thing you see is your mom, I think that's the first thing where it's almost your first taste of what leadership is. Leading by example, bringing you to this world and doing, why we call them superheroes, mothers, is that. But then you get to experience the world. Once you open your eyes and you get to see and meet different people, even at school, you start to then see people that maybe you appreciate later on in life. And hands up if you were one of those people. Right here, I was one of those people. I was very, very lucky as a child to come across a teacher, almost like a father figure that I didn't have, in a person called Mr. Eric Inwood, God rest his soul, who actually didn't want me playing sports. He wanted me to focus on studies, but also was a professor in English and history, and understood so many things that I had no idea about. And I just remember him always making sure, because we used to take off our black shoes and put on our sneakers to get out once it's break time to play football in the playground. And he'd always tell me, Alduri, put your shoes back on. And I always think, why is he always picking on me? Everyone's doing it, and he's always picking on me. But he had a vision for what he thought I should be, and always said to me, you're not going to be an athlete. You're going to be better than that. And I never understood why he'd say that. But he spent so much time with me and probably influenced so many people on this planet. So a true professor, a real leader, and a real teacher, which I was so fortunate enough to be taught by. And when I came to leave the school, which I actually went back to teach at as a teacher, I told them to write, and I don't know if you noticed those scrapbooks, but I told them to write in my scrapbook, where, when you leave school, all your friends write pages and pages of memories and things. And he took a whole page and went across the page and left me a message, which obviously is based on Shakespeare, and said, to thine own self be true. And I thought, God, Mr. Inwood, you could have written so much more than that. But as I grew up and I learned more than anything, the message behind that is the more you experience things, the more you realize that whatever happens and whoever you meet and whatever you accomplish, the most important thing is staying true to yourself and what you believe in. And that was incredible, because I was kind of disappointed when he first gave me the the paper with just a couple of words across it, and I thought, God, I really was hoping he'd give me a nice little ego boost, and he didn't. He gave me more than that. So that's leadership for you. That's someone that maybe perhaps didn't do what was best for me at the time, when I thought all I want to do, I sound like an Adidas advert, all I want to do is just get out there and play sports. And no, he wanted me to study. He wanted me to spend more time learning, and he was right. You know, he was very, very right with that. So God bless you, Mr. Inwood. That was one thing. Then the other thing is, obviously you grow up and you see and you meet so many types of different people. And then you switch on the TV and you look at icons, you know, sports icons, etc. And for me, my jersey number was number 6. And the reason why it was number 6 was a certain leader called Tony Adams at the time, who may have not been the most athletic and may have not been, you know, the most physical specimen you might see in terms of being ripped, etc. But he was such a leader and brought the best out of all of his teammates, and despite his own problems and his own mental health issues and his own struggles, he still managed to lift all his teammates, and that's why they called him Mr. Arsenal and Captain Fantastic. And that's why till today, the reason why I wear the number 6 on my back, it's something that I was inspired by other people. So there's another thing for you regarding so many factors of when you grow up and you meet a teacher and that teacher changes your life. You know, some people could look at it and say, well, I didn't grow up with 2 parents, or I didn't live the, Brady Bunch lifestyle. But you get given so much more, and the universe pays so much to you and gives you so much back. And one of the things that people sometimes don't look at is people are sent into your life for a specific reason, whether it's just to raise a smile or raise your mood or so many different things. And Mr. Inwood did that for me, and I'm so grateful that just before he passed, actually, I managed to send someone over to his house to interview him. And the interview is actually out on YouTube. I'll definitely share that with you guys on my Instagram. The interview's out on YouTube. It was out a long, long time ago, and this man who was such a legend turned the interview around and based it on me, which again, his intelligence was second to none. And the whole point of this was to because obviously he wasn't on social media. He still didn't have a mobile phone, and I'm not talking 50 years ago. I'm talking 5 years ago, 7 years ago. He didn't have a mobile phone. Why? Because he always kept it old school. He was an OG, and he was someone that always believed that if someone wanted to send him a message, they'd send him a letter. And if someone wanted to get through to him, they'd call him on his house phone. And he still answered his house phone with the last 4 digits and his surname, which again is such a throwback. And we don't have that amount of people like that hardly in our lives. And I was so lucky to have Mr. Inwood in my life as a teacher. And then who would have thought I would go back to my school to teach, and he would be the second headmaster there. So being in a staff room with someone who spent so much time teaching me about life when probably I didn't have that figure in my life to be able to speak about it. And that's why I say to you guys, we all have our own blessings in disguise, and that could have been one of the best things that ever happened to me, is not having that sort of senior father figure in my life, and then having Mr. Inwood come through, an old school English teacher who was able to put me on the right path and probably keep me out of a lot of trouble, having grown up in London. And you guys from London know what I'm talking about. So what is leadership to you, and how has it changed your life? Let me know. 4215 hit the salat or slide into my DMs at Omar Duri and let me know, and I'll be right back after the break. Enjoy, folks. Here's some Lotto Boys, Did It Again.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. I'm back now, guys. I'm back. I had a moment, but it's great to be here with you today. And I was talking about leadership in the first segment. If you do miss the shows, you can catch the podcast on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Anghami, or even head over to the YouTube and check out all the channels there. We've got all the guests. We've got all the fantastic, hosts we've got from Pulse 95 Radio, covering so many topics, and today we will talk about leadership and the different type of leaders we have in our life, from the moment the inner child of you, gets to see the world to the moment you get to experience people and humans and emotions and gratitude and empathy and so many cool things. I spoke to you guys about, a couple of people that influenced me. Mr. Eric Inwood was one of the main ones who came into my life at a very, very important time as a teenager. I really needed a father figure like that to kind of speak to me. And the YouTube clip, actually, of the interview of him, God rest his soul, is called Inwood's Corner Platform 3 Fitness Dubai. The reason why it's called that was because I promised him that if I ever opened up my own facility in the UAE, that I would dedicate a small corner to him and call it Inwood's Corner, and it will be a library, because he always used to give me books as gifts, and he actually got a chance to see it in a video, which was great. I'm very, very happy with that. Okay, let's read some of your comments. If I had to think of a person who has made a huge impact on me, without a doubt, I would have to say it's you, Coach. Because of you, I'm inspired to be the best person I can be. You make a difference and you install change. Thank you very much, Fahad. It's a pleasure to be able to make a positive impact on an athlete and a great person like yourself. Okay, so what's happening in sports, right? A couple of things have happened in sports. We've had Barcelona toppled by Real Madrid. It could have been a battering in the beginning in the first half, and we spoke about Zidane coming up to the big games, and maybe Koeman and Lionel Messi's last El Clasico as Real Madrid come away 2-1 winners. It could have been a lot more different towards the end, but looking at that as well, the way that the teams were planned out, and also bearing in mind the Champions League games coming up, it was very important that Zidane got it right and maybe didn't rest his mature midfield, as we said, in Casemiro, Modric and Cruz, who have a combined age of 80 plus in the midfield. It shows you that intelligence comes a long way. Leeds United, yes, you see me wearing the colours today just because of the man himself, Marcelo Bielsa, did stun Manchester City's Pep Guardiola, and I'm so happy for Bielsa because he's had a lot of different criticism this year, but he always sticks to his beliefs and his philosophy, and it was great to see him take the game to City despite Cooper getting sent off just before half time in a crazy tackle. Lucky that the player didn't have his foot on the ground, or he would have snapped his leg in two. United defeat Spurs. Now, coming into this game, there was this cloud after what happened in the first game with Tottenham winning 6-1. There was a sending off that day. There was almost a sending off early on. It was very, very close. But what comes out of this afterwards with both teams, crossing the line, is a lot of comments by the coaches. Now, should we ever let, ourselves get interviewed straight after the game? It's always tough. The emotions are high. I've been in the locker room myself. I've been on the other side of interviews when it's come to, high adrenaline, high emotion. And as soon as the game finished, they asked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who had just come away victorious, what he thought of the game. And Ole said, this isn't the first time it's happened. They got away with it. And I was just thinking, why not enjoy the moment? And he kind of went into Son and said that, because United had the goal disallowed because McTominay flicked a hand out. It wasn't really an elbow, a hand out, but Son had reacted to it and stayed down, and United consequently scored from that, and saying that it wasn't the same. But then looking at that, in the end, United got what they want. But I think the comments afterwards about if that was my son, he wouldn't have dinner, I think that was a bit past the line. But I can't blame coaches, because I've been there myself. I've been there when you have the cameras in your face straight after a game and you have to say the right thing, but you're feeling pumped by what's just happened, and they won. So that was the first thing. And then classic Jose, he fed on to that. The moment he had that, he responded back and said, Son's father is better than Oli. And I just thought, I always cringe when you bring in families into it, and it got into it more and more. But here's the thing, tactically, we all know what both coaches can do, but when you divert the attention onto the comments rather than the performance, I think Mourinho knew exactly what he was doing in that being the headline today. We're talking about Son, and we're talking about, people that are cheating, etc. But then again, you look at the United team, and I wouldn't say that Bruno Fernandes is pretty much someone who stays on his feet, and some of the other United players. So it was a bit tongue-in-cheek from that. It did rub up Mourinho in the wrong way, but also looking at it like that, how good was Pogba? See, looking at Paul Pogba yesterday, and there might have been an ammunition just to perform that extra bit better against the Jose Mourinho side, who had pretty much isolated him from the United team when Mourinho was coaching United. How good was he? And why isn't he that good every single week? Why does it have to be the odd game where he literally takes the whole game and destroys his opponent? He was so good yesterday that when I was watching, I was thinking, that's world class. But see, world class comes with consistency. That's why it's more than just form, it's class. There's always a saying growing up saying form is temporary and class is permanent. See, if Paul Pogba could do that every single game, then it would justify, the extravagant type of character that he is and the social character that he is, because he was terrific. And you got to give your hats off to him that he was fantastic in the performance yesterday against, what would be classified, a good Tottenham side. Maybe a Champions League Tottenham side, but saying that, what's Mourinho going to do, and is there pressure on him to perform this year? If he doesn't win that trophy against City, which is looking unlikely, then God, I don't know what's going to happen to Tottenham. Looking at that, guys, what was your moment of the weekend regarding the sport? We had the boxing. Dillian White obviously came up on top, and we're talking about him fighting someone else. You had Conor Ben as well, doing that fantastic performance against Vargas. Now he wants Amir Khan. Hey, listen, a lot of good sports happening. I'm going to take a break now, and I'll be right back after this. Enjoy it, and I'll see you in a bit.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 94.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. Thank you very much for tuning in. Some great questions coming through as well during the break. Who do we have here? We've got your thoughts on City and will they get the Champions League trophy this time, by R. Hassan. It's a good question, R. Hassan. I think that, with the way City have managed their squad, and for fantasy football managers, they hate the fact that Pep Guardiola rotates his squad. But you got to say, the way that he has conducted his planning, his team's planning, the sports science element of it, not to get injured, the lack of pre-season that normally people have faced during COVID, and doing all that without a recognized striker, obviously with all respect to Gabriel Jesus, who's been fantastic this year and got his fair share of goals. Playing a false number 9 has been the key to Manchester City, and who would have thought that? Ironically, that Kun Aguero is going to be leaving and Haaland is talked about coming in. But saying that, the way that Pep Guardiola has managed his squad, I think that's the reason why I can say it's not impossible for him to get the Champions League. However, it does come down to form, and it does come down to momentum. So too much rotation can be actually the demise of Manchester City, as well as, the triumph of it. So I think it's going to be a very, very close Champions League this year. I think Chelsea, probably are the dark horses, especially with the draw that they have. But City are not far off, and we'll get to see more of that this week. So I really like your question. Then we've got Lingard thriving as the main man. Is he actually good, by Hatem? You know what? We spoke about leadership earlier, and we spoke about, how important confidence is. And I think that Lingard's career had probably gone down a little bit when he hadn't found himself fitting in a system, and I think with people believing in him. And how important is it to be able to have confidence and belief in your team, your players, your workmates, your teammates, all different type of people? It's really important to be able to have that. I think Lingard's come to a place or an environment that people believe in him and have given him the freedom to express himself. And I think that's psychologically very, very important. As a player, you want to be able to have the backing of your team. Sometimes you're in a team and you look to your right or you look to your left and you see the players with you, and you know what? You get lifted. They lift you as players. And I think that's what's happened with Lingard. He's come into West Ham. David Moyes used to coach him at Manchester United. He's come into West Ham and he's thought, you know what? I need to prove myself again. And what I like about what David Moyes said to him, and we were talking about this off air as well, is that David Moyes said to him, you're not gonna just get into this team. You have to work hard, and that's where the mental aspect of development is key in sport and also in performance. And that's why I'm really happy to see West Ham do so well. And I really hope they shake up the whole league and finish in the Champions League spots. Even though I'd love for my team to be in there, West Ham have been fantastic. Defensively have been really good. The midfield has been great. The freedom has been good in terms of, Souček, contributing with his goals. Lingard with his freedom. Antonio, what an animal up front as well. That's great to see him there. There's all these kind of different factors West Ham, and I hope they do it with that. Which team shirt are you wearing? Sofiane asks. It's Leeds United because of Marcelo Bielsa. Oh yes, Bielsa, I like his coach. And yes, mentor. Right, okay. So on this segment, what I wanted to kind of go over with you is confidence. How important is confidence for you? And confidence is key, but how do we boost our confidence? Now, normally, and I bumped into a friend of mine yesterday at the gym, and she asked me, you're kind of vibing. I like that. And I said, yeah, you know why? Because we're coming up to Ramadan now. It's a holy, blessed month. We've got so much going on, and it's really important to be able to, find what you need to work on it and spend time on it and be selfish a bit. Do things for yourself, and the people around you will benefit from that. So I saw something online, and I thought, I got to share this with the halftimers. How do you boost confidence? 1, stop comparing yourself to others. Focus on your lane. Be the best version of you. I thought that was 100% relatable to a lot of people, including myself. Sometimes you put the work in and it doesn't come to fruition at that moment, but it will come. Love yourself. We've spoken about self-love on the show before and how vital it is to be able to do things for yourself, to be able to, get the best out of you. So self-love will definitely boost your confidence. Learn to accept compliments. Oh my God. How many times has someone said something nice to you and then you've gone, what about you? Or just change subject. You know what? Learn to accept it. And I've been guilty of that as well. Admire your strengths. Stop focusing just on your weaknesses. We've heard people say perfectionism doesn't exist. Please appreciate your strengths. That's another one to boost confidence. Track your accomplishments. It's very easy to forget how far you have come and what you have done. Actually track it down. Write it down. It's not being vain. It's actually appreciating what you've done. Exercise and go to the gym. Hey, listen. I don't need to say anything else on top of that. Exercise and go to the gym. Some of you might ask how, Ramadan's coming up, etc. Hey, go to the gym. Tell yourself good things daily. Self-affirmation, so key. We've spoken about that on the show as well. Always look to improve yourself, absolutely. And set goals and aim to hit them. And that is the confidence segment for you. What does it for you, and which one of those stands out the most? Let me know. 4215 at the Salat or slide into my DMs at Omar Duri. Here's some Georgia Smith. Come over, let's chill. Here we go.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Man, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the Halftime Show. Thank you very much for your comments from Nia Salah. I jumped in here after she showed me. I came in this afternoon and she's like, have you had your coffee? And I was like, no. So she went and ordered me a coffee, which bless her, always looking after me. AJ's dropped a comment in the Instagram. Please, cookies, cut the Cinnabon supply for this gentleman on football days. He is killing us with that cinnamon boost. Thanks, AJ. I hope I can do that again today. Looking the way your team is, it's stacked today, so it's going to be a good one. Right, if you did miss the show, guys, don't worry. All the episodes are on podcast, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, or even on YouTube if you prefer a visual. One thing I will say to everyone is, you may not realize how much it means to us when you actually watch our episodes, when you listen to our episodes, when you like our episodes, when you share them. It means a lot, because despite people saying, it doesn't really matter how many views, how many likes, how many clicks, the powers of be, it does matter to them. So my question to you is, what would you like to hear more of? And what would you like to see more of? We're coming up to the month of Ramadan now, and obviously I've always said that you guys have such an important say on the Halftime Show. What comes on the show? What kind of material would you like, to see more of, to hear more of? Because for me, it really does come down to trying to, diversify, obviously, the clientele and the guests, and also the different types of experiences that these people bring to the show. They have a lot of flavor. They do a lot of great things, on the Halftime Show. So yes, let me know. Obviously, slide into my DMs at Omar Duri, because you might be watching this at home now and thinking, okay, I can't message him. Yes, you can message me. You can send me an Instagram and you can tell me what topics you'd like to see or hear more of? What would you like to know more about? And then I will actually try and focus on those kind of guests that can bring their expertise in if I don't know what the research is. Okay, right. So today on the show, we spoke about the importance of leadership. I brought up people like Mr. Eric Inwood, who was a big influence on my life as more like a guardian than a teacher. Tony Adams, who was someone that I looked up to as a leader on the pitch, on the field. And also, what are leaders nowadays? What are you inspired by? What's a real leader to you? What lifts you as a player, as an athlete, as even a colleague, whatever it is, let me know. And then we've also spoken about a roundup of sports, but also the segment on confidence was a good one, because I got a few people who were messaging me and just telling me, can you just repeat one more time what those things that you mentioned were, right? I'll go through them very quickly because we're about to wrap up. Actually, no, we've got the Adhan coming up now, so I will see you Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4. Salam, guys.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.